Welcome to Monster Trailcams, your eerie outpost in the digital wilderness. This is the one-stop hub where we bring the unknown and the unexplainable right to your screen. Our channel uncovers mysterious creatures and spine-chilling sights from every corner of the globe, captured on our network of trail cameras. Through storm or shine, day or night, our lenses stay vigilant so you can experience the thrill of the strange and the extraordinary. Remember, here at Monster Trail Cams, you never know what might creep into frame, so brace yourself and join us as we explore the world's unseen mysteries. I could use your help in this next clip identifying the creature lurking in the shadows. We have a man recording on a handheld camera as he investigates a strange noise on his property after dark. He tracks the disturbance to the shed where he keeps his gardening equipment. At first glance, we see the lawnmower and a few other pieces of outdoor equipment resting quietly in the shed, but then the camera pans up to the ceiling. Do you see it hiding in the rafters? It looks like a large shadow, but then we see a hand move against the wooden joist. It has the outline of a human, but it's impossible to tell from the angle and the lighting of the room. The man recording the video didn't stick around to find out, likely a smart move on his part. But what exactly did he encounter in the shed? Is this a person who was sneaking around the property looking for something easy to steal, or perhaps even break into the home? Or did we just witness an encounter with the supernatural? And if so, what could this being be? On this channel, we feature all things strange, mysterious, and unexplained, whether they be of a paranormal nature or not. Take this trail cam image as an example. You are looking at a very rare albino raccoon. There is nothing strange or supernatural that gives this creature its ghostly white fur. It is merely a genetic mutation that affects the pigment in its skin and hair. Albinism isn't exactly a rare disorder, but it is extremely uncommon to see wild animals sporting the mutation. Why is this, you might ask? The answer is likely more simple than you thought. Animals' coat colors and patterns are often meant to camouflage them in their environment. For prey animals, this makes them harder to find, and for predators, this makes it easier for them to conceal themselves while on the hunt. Unfortunately, animals with albinism are easy to spot in the natural landscape. Unless it is winter, they are often unable to hide. For a prey animal, they become an easy target for a meal. For a predator, they are often seen before they are able to catch their dinner. Raccoons are scavengers, so albinism may not be as detrimental to this animal's odds of survival. And lucky for us, this trail cam caught its likeness for all of us to see. It is interesting how different an animal can look when its color is changed. We have another ghostly image for you to examine. Is this a camera malfunction, or are we looking at a supernatural entity accompanying these unsuspecting deer in their nightly search for food? The deer in the frame appear to be happily grazing, completely unaware and unbothered by the mist-like apparition in the center of the screen. Normally, animals are acutely aware of anything happening in the supernatural realm and act uncomfortable if something strange is in the air. This is a widely accepted phenomenon among paranormal investigators, so that alone tells me that we might just be looking at a camera malfunction. If the ghostly spot is simply a trick of the camera, what could be the cause? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. We'll do some research, but I'm sure someone out there knows the ins and outs of camera that could explain what might be causing these strange mist-like beings. Let's talk about it in the comments. Let's look at this still image from a trail cam of a rather creepy, slender humanoid creature. Its eyes glow against the light of the camera, or perhaps they simply glow in the dark. The creature's pale skin and body condition match the description of a crawler, but crawlers are only very rarely reported to walk on two legs. They prefer to crawl on their hand and legs, moving similar to the creature Golem. So what is this thing? Could it be a spirit? If we examine the image further, the creature's form is mist-like. Its lines are blurred, unlike the surrounding landscape. Either this creature is some type of evil spirit, or this is likely a false image. Let us know what you think. Take a look at this chilling image. While not the intended subject of this photograph, it steals the spotlight the moment you see it peeking out from behind the trees. The distinctive canine face and upright position give away its identity immediately. We are looking at none other than the fabled wolfman. These creatures are rarely ever spotted in the wild. Some people in the paranormal community even theorize that there have been attempts by the government to cover up their existence. If you haven't heard of the wolfman before, it is described as a wolf-human hybrid. It has the face of a wolf and is completely covered in fur. However, it is reported that this creature can walk on both 2 legs and 4. It is also reported to have hands similar to that of a human. If you might be thinking we are talking about a werewolf, you would be wrong. The wolfman does not change from human to wolf on a full moon. It is always in this form. In fact, if you saw one from a distance, you might just think you saw a very large wolf. They go to great lengths to conceal their identities from humans. They may be even more elusive than Bigfoot. This one in the image seems to have been caught off guard as it investigates the people in the photograph. Perhaps the creature is young and just being inquisitive, or maybe hunger drove it out and it was looking for an easy meal. Or we could be looking at a fake. That is a possibility too. Let us know your theories in the comments. Have you ever heard of the Wolfman? Do you think they are real, or are they a creature straight out of a myth? Next up, we have some wild footage to review. Could this be real, or are we looking at an internet hoax? With so much emphasis on social media, we are seeing more and more fake paranormal videos simply created to gain popularity on the web. This makes it harder and harder to pick out the true encounters from the fakes, but that's our job. So let's take a look at this next submission and have a discussion in the comments. Is this a real cryptid encounter? And if so, what type of creature are we looking at? We start this story with a group of campers set up deep in the woods. They claim to have heard screaming and crying coming from somewhere in the woods when they all go out to investigate. Believing someone was in distress, they moved quickly. Not long after leaving their campsite, they stumbled upon a triangular structure erected from sticks and found pieces of wood. The structure itself was crudely fashioned, but clearly the work of a human, or something with similar intelligence and abilities. The group ventured closer to the structure and found the source of the wailing in the woods. Do you see the woman in the center of the structure? She appears to be held there against her will. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, this disturbing creature appears. At first glance, it looks like a crawler or a rake, but when we pause the video, you can see it has at least 4 arms and moves in the same fashion as a large insect. Not something I'd want to run into in the woods, that's for sure. Could this creature be real? It doesn't look like any of the established cryptids we know about. And if it was real, what happened to those campers and the woman tied up in the wooden structure? Let us know your thoughts. This next video was taken during a youth backpacking trip as part of a summer program to get kids outdoors. I don't think they intended for these kids to have an encounter with North America's most popular cryptid, but one thing is certain. This isn't a trip any of them will soon forget. The group was on a 3-day backpacking trip in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Because many of these kids weren't experienced backpackers, they chose to take an easier trail, however. That particular trail, while not high in elevation, led the group down into a secluded valley on the other side of a prominent ridge, just on the other side of the mountains. While the trail wasn't too difficult, it was remote. The group hadn't passed any other hikers since they left the trailhead. They were out in the wild, and they weren't alone. Take a look at the ridge. You can clearly see someone walking along it, descending down towards the forest. The problem? There aren't any trails up there, and the person does not appear to be carrying any hiking gear. The group was at least 30 miles from the trailhead at the time of this encounter. If this were a man, he was likely one of the fabled wild men that live off-grid in the wild places of the world. However, if you take a closer look, the man appears to be covered in thick hair. This means we are looking at none other than Bigfoot. The group watched the Bigfoot walk down the ridge and into the cover of the trees. They all had difficulty sleeping that night at camp, but it didn't appear the creature wanted anything to do with them. They didn't see any signs of it on the remainder of the trip, though I don't imagine any of them returned to the area after that. Here we have a Trailcam capture of a frightening primate running through the dense forest. According to the submitter, this photo was taken in a remote part of Washington state. If this photo is indeed real, this creature looks a little too small to be a Bigfoot, perhaps a juvenile specimen, or could we be looking at something else? There have been legends of primates lurking in the North American woods for hundreds of years. Bigfoot, of course, is the largest, but there are others. We've heard stories of a supposedly mythical creature called the North American great ape. This beast resembles Bigfoot in some aspects, but is reported to be smaller and less human. Simply put, it is large primate, similar to a silverback gorilla, that has found a home range in the American wilderness. We've also heard stories of smaller primates that inhabit the same areas. Some of these are described simply as wild monkeys of various types, while others are reported to a monkey-human hybrid. What are your thoughts on the matter? Do you think there are primates living in North America, or do you think it's an elaborate conspiracy theory? Let's start a discussion in the comments. Take a look at this frightening creature dumpster diving for a quick meal. At first glance, it appears to be some type of supernatural cryptid. Look at its human-like hand and arms as it searches through the garbage for food. It's unnerving to say the least. However, not all frightening scenes have a supernatural cause. This clip shows the importance of examining these strange videos and doing our due research to first look for discrepancies, so when we do find authentic evidence of the paranormal, our claims can be taken seriously. Take a close look at this creature. Its hairless body gives it the appearance of something out of a nightmare, but if you focus on its face, you can see that we are looking at a raccoon. Unfortunately, this poor raccoon has a severe case of mange. Mange can be a deadly disease in wild animals as it compromises their immune system. Luckily, it is highly treatable and presents a good chance at recovery if treatment is available. If you see an animal suffering from mange, contact your local wildlife rehab or DNR office for guidance. Oftentimes, they recommend capturing the affected creature in a live trap and delivering it to the nearest wildlife rehab center. But in some cases, they can give you a dose of medication to set out for the sick animal. Take a look at this. It's quite the capture. We can see a flock of birds as they move effortlessly through the sky, seeming to form shapes in the air. If you look close, you can see the flock form what appears to be one giant image of a bird. They do this a couple of times, forming the bird image out of nowhere and then going back to unidentifiable shapes. Do you think this is merely a coincidence, or do these birds know what they are doing? Paranormal or not, it's an impressive phenomenon to have captured on video. Let us know in the comments. Take a look at this playful goat. If you didn't know much about goat behavior, you might think this creature to be sick or even possessed. While it looks a bit strange and is definitely funny to watch, this is all totally normal for a goat. Despite the rumored importance of goats to witches and devil worshippers, you can rest assured that your backyard goat is most likely just a friendly pet. Take a look at this footage from a handheld camera. The owner of this clip claims this forest in Maine is deep in the wilderness and extremely difficult to get to. And yet, here is a structure obviously built with human hands, or at least something like them. It's not surprising to find little structures like this built in the woods near populated hiking paths and playgrounds, but this situation is odd. If we are to believe the story that goes along with this video, this is simply too far off the beaten path. So who made this structure and what is its purpose? If we take a closer look, we can see symbols or perhaps runes made of bound twigs and string. It's a bit reminiscent of the Blair Witch Project when you think about it. Are we looking at cheap fake trying to go viral? Or could there be some truth to this witchcraft? Look in the trees and you can see a person darting across the screen. It's difficult to see the person's face or even their clothing. We can likely assume the person had something to do with this structure, but assumptions are only just that. What do you think is going on here? The cameraman makes it out of the woods unharmed and sees no signs of the mystery person again after the encounter. If you liked watching these videos, then consider subscribing. I release videos at least twice a week. Stay frosty and we'll see you in the next one.